In the last video, we had talked about the Vancouver Canucks and how they broke the Edmonton Oilers. In this video, we are talking about the Vancouver Canucks and the context of how they are related to a different Alberta team. No, the Canucks have not played the Flames so far this season, but the Flames themselves have been bad too. Just like Edmonton, we had already made a few videos talking about both the Alberta teams and how bad they have been, but because Calgary is in a difficult spot in their own right, I'm not going to go out there and directly say if the Flames are better or worse than the Oilers, but Calgary's in a position where, with the team being this bad, there were already reports from NHL insiders saying that the intentions that the Flames had to re-sign all their pending UFAs, those ideas have been put on hold, because we don't really know for now if the Flames want to go down that re-sign everybody scenario. Mostly because this team already has some good money and good years tied up into guys like Huberdeau and Kadri, players who have not been showing up. And as a result, you had other guys like Tyler Toffoli, who had decided to leave. He got traded away. There were some other players who had been inked to returning deals, but not all of them have re-signed. As a result, you have players like Nikita Zadorov, for example, Noah Hanifin, Chris Tanev even, that don't have contracts for next year and who most likely won't get contracts for next year until later on in the season or sometime in the offseason next year, if these players even do decide to stick around. Elias Lindholm needs a contract for next year. There are a bunch of other defensemen that are in that conversation as well. But because the Flames are in this predicament now, where these guys are all of a sudden not going to get contracts and they may even be potential trade bait, we have articles like this popping up from dailyhive.com by Rob Williams. Bring Tanev home? This Canucks and Flames trade could make sense. Now, this article is from the 3rd of November, so a while ago. It goes over just the hypothetical idea that, hey, Chris Tanev is the type of player profile the Canucks have been lacking. As he completes the final year of his contract with the Flames, there may be a chance to get him back. The article also says that according to reports, the Canucks are looking to add to their group via a trade. Despite an impressive 7-2-1 record, there's still one glaring hole on Vancouver's roster, and that is the right side on defense. Now, they did try to address this with the Mark Friedman acquisition, which did work. I will say Mark Friedman is a more than okay NHL option. He surely beats a lot of the other guys that were called up, like the Jet Woos and the Willanders and the Juulsens, and you could even debate the Ethan Bears. Of course, that guy isn't signed, but still, Mark Friedman has been a more than okay acquisition for this team, stabilizing the bottom right side of that defense core. But Chris Tanev would be an upgrade over that. And because of the rumors that the Calgary Flames would be not really too interested in extending guys at the moment, plus the rumors that the Canucks are looking for another defenseman on the trade block, this could be an interesting idea. We'd already made a video earlier this year talking about the idea of Connor Garland getting traded for Chris Tanev because the Canucks have a lot of wingers. The Flames may want to trade Tanev away. If there is some sort of a desirability for a guy like Connor Garland in Calgary, then that's a trade that could work out. Chris Tanev, if you wanted the profile here, he is now 33 years old, which is astounding to me. This guy was always just so young. He was the next best thing, an up-and-comer young defenseman. Did I mention he was young? He always exhibited that youthful exuberance whenever we watched him as a Vancouver Canuck. But no, the guy is 33 years old now, making $4.5 million a year till the end of this season. He's at 1 point in 11 games played, which is fine, because Chris Tanev was never really the biggest point producer anyway. What he excelled at, though, was his defensive play, his awareness, his perception of the defensive zone, his shot blocking, his dedication. Chris Tanev was the ultimate defensive defenseman and one of the best in the NHL in that category for quite a while. He's never really going to go out there and have a 30, 40, 50-point season, but, of course, if he did do that, that'd be pretty good. It's just Tanev had so much value on the defensive side of the game that this was one of the guys that we all said, hey, if you have Hughes, Tanev together, Hughes can be the offensive guy, Tanev can be the defensive guy, that could be a match made in heaven, right? it just didn't really manifest itself because Quinn was playing with Schenn and Tanev was playing with other guys, with Edler, etc., etc. It was a little bit different, but Tanev in Calgary has actually gotten over the hump of being consistently placed on the IR. He's been healthy in Calgary for the most part, but the Flames themselves have been pretty bad. As a result, you had yourselves Elliotte Friedman on Donnie and Dolly yesterday go out there and have a little bit of a radio hit about these players. This is what he said about Hanifin, Tanev, and Zadorov in Calgary. I think the Calgary Flames are calling around engaging the market with these players. I can see teams like Toronto, Edmonton, and Vancouver showing interest in them. And because of this tweet, Rick Dhaliwal going out there and spilling the tea on Twitter, everybody was replying to this, quote tweeting this, saying the same thing. Hey, Patrick Allvin, let's bring Tanev back to Vancouver. And if you had seen the video about Connor Garland and Tanev, you know what my opinion is here. You know what my opinion is based off of the video we made a few weeks ago as well, talking about Tyler Myers and Chris Tanev. I, for one, am so on board with the idea of getting Chris Tanev back on the Vancouver Canucks, it is not even funny. This is the guy that if you replaced Mark Friedman with Tanev in the lineup, like admittedly, when we made the Myers and Tanev video a few weeks ago, Myers wasn't playing all too great. He was still in his bad slump. He still was making bad plays and not really doing as well as he is right now. We talked about this in a video a few days ago. Myers has been good, like legitimately really good and effective the past few games. If you are able to hold Tyler Myers to this standard and you change Mark Friedman for Chris Tanev on that right side, this team, I honestly think they have a legit chance at making some serious damage in the playoffs and maybe even winning a cup. Like, I don't know, that's hyperbolic to say, I know for sure, but like, the team has been playing so well, we know what they're at when they're at their best. What if you swap out Mark Friedman, who is pretty okay, for Chris Tanev, and you give him sheltered minutes, you play him the same amount of time as Tyler Myers, you have Hronek with Hughes, you leave that pairing together. All of a sudden, this defense core becomes the most shut down, offensively capable it has ever been. Or at least the most diverse it's been in years. The Vancouver Canucks defense core has never been this offensively productive. Guys like Tyler Myers and Filip Hronek, Quinn Hughes, Carson Soucy, they're producing points like crazy. Filip Hronek is one of the top defensemen in scoring. We know Quinn Hughes is right up there, second in the NHL in points, period. But Filip Hronek is one of the top guys for D-men. Tyler Myers getting shorthanded goals, Carson Soucy getting assists and goals too. The Canucks are doing so well with their defense. And if you change out a guy like Friedman and you bring in Tanev instead, I don't even care how you do it. Trade Beauvillier away, trade Garland away, trade somebody away, get some money freed up to bring the money for Tanev back onto this team. A D-core of Hughes, Hronek, Soucy, Myers, Cole, Tanev could be the best in the NHL. And I'm saying that with the predisposed idea that we have seen how good these guys with Friedman already have been, and how good they can be. Just swap out Friedman for one of the best defensive defensemen and shot blockers in the NHL, who happens to be a fan favorite, and you have a formula that's going to make the fans super excited, while also improving the quality of your hockey team. Like, of course, no disrespect to Mark Friedman, but Chris Tanev is just a bit better, I would say. Maybe in terms of reputation, yes. In terms of on-ice play, you could debate whatever. Tanev only has 1 point. Who cares? The Flames have been bad. If there's a player to harp on in Calgary, it's not Chris Tanev. You could harp on literally everybody else, and it's totally okay. But for Tanman, this is the guy. And if Friedman is going out there and saying that the Flames may have an interest in sending some of these guys' names onto the trade block and having teams like Vancouver, Edmonton, Toronto check in and see what they cost, hey, Patrick Allvin, do us a favor, man. Bring back Tanman. You don't even need to put him with Quinn Hughes. Just put him in the lineup. Have Tyler Myers and Carson Soucy play the same amount of time as Ian Cole and Chris Tanev. Have them together. Have Hughes and Hronek dominating offensively and put this team in a position to win more. Oh, I'm greedy, baby. I am so greedy for everything good to come the Canucks' way, and if the Calgary Flames are the forbidden door to getting that done, then send over Beauvillier, send over Garland, send over whomever to free up the money and to bring Tanman home. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Chris Tanev and the idea of him actually being a possibility trade-wise for the Vancouver Canucks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.